Hello and welcome to another quick walkthrough of Pro Tools. I am Ryan, and today we are going to be looking at clips in Pro Tools. Some of the basics about how they work, auto-generated clips, user-defined clips, and the clips bin. Let's jump over to it. So here you can see a Pro Tools session with some basic clips in it. Sorry if I used the term regions. That has been the traditional term in Pro Tools for many years. Clips and regions are the same thing. Each instance of audio that you see in the edit window is considered a clip. And you can do many things with these clips. Primarily in the edit window is modify them through the trimmer, selector, and grabber tool. For example, if I take the grabber tool and hold down Option, I can very easily create a duplicate of that clip. And what a non-linear editing, NLE, DAW, digital audio workstation, allows you to do is have many instances of a clip or modifications of a clip, but only one file that is actually on the hard drive. So even though I just duplicated this 4 times, all of these reference only one file on my hard drive. Undo that. Now, there's another set of auto-generated clips that will be created when you start editing. So if I zoom in, we can see we have this clip here. Well, if this was hundreds of files, how would we keep track of this? First thing would be make sure you name your tracks when you record, before you record. And also you can go back and right click and rename clips if you would like. Keeping track of that is quite important. You can also color code and things of that nature. But there's also a convenient bin on the right side of the screen in Pro Tools. And in most programs, look for a clip or region bin. In Pro Tools, in the bottom right corner, click on this expanding arrow here, and it pops out this clips bin on the left side. You can see that when I select a clip here, it is then shown or highlighted in the clips bin. So as I select different clips, we see that selection highlighted over there. And this red clip, the lower one here, is called Lab 1 On Point, and it has several edits. Here, here, and here. This is just one audio clip that has been recorded. And when I make a duplicate, nothing really changes here because they're duplicates. But if I begin to edit it, for example, by dividing the clip into multiple parts, now you can see each of these parts has its own not bold highlighted section here. And that is right now shown in the original clip, even though that one's not edited. Some of the details of why all of these tools are used and how you might use this, it can be involved, and there's different places, especially in film and larger projects, where this becomes extremely useful. But the key here is to understand that if you import a clip or have something like you've accidentally deleted, for example, oh no, I deleted that edit. Well, if you go over here and drag this auto-generated clip, it actually gives you back in order those exact same edits. So clips are non-destructive when we edit them in this way. I can delete them, I can delete all of these, but they are still maintained here in our clips bin, and I can bring them all back just like that. if I want. Okay. Now, the next thing, that was non-destructive editing. So all of these edits, if I delete a part, whatever I do to this clip, this is non-destructive. And what that means is I'm not modifying the original file that is on my computer. Now, Pro Tools and most DAWs will also allow you to do destructive editing. And this creates, well, either creates a new file on your computer or actually changes the WAV file or AIFF file, the actual file on your computer. And this is much more like editing an analog domain, where once you cut it, you've literally divided or modified the original file. Yes, you can still undo Apple Z or Command Z or Control Z, but that file is different. And so I'd like to show you two primary ways that we can do that. I believe you will be able to hear, and I'm going to go into slip mode for this just for ease of showing. Sounds good, and see if it plays back into Zoom. So this is me just testing whether this audio would play back. Sounds good, and see if it plays back into Zoom. Now, if I take this audio and I zoom in, maybe this sound right here was a clip, something that went something. If I use my pencil tool, Command 7, and I zoom way in on the waveform, I can actually go in and draw in a new waveform. This is modifying the original audio file. And when you get a session where there's like a clocking issue, this is the way you fix it. It's a very odd manual thing, but you go in and you draw in and then you listen and you see if it sounds not like a click sound. In this case, it probably sounds more like a click sound. Sounds good. Now it goes like, sounds good. Sounds good. Right? And if I undo that, undo that, undo that, we're back to our original file. Sounds good. Right? So that is a destructive edit. The other way we can create a new file is we take something like, let's say, sounds good. We're going to go for it. And we're going to go for it. We're going to take this, copy it here. That is non-destructive. That's just a copy. And you can notice over here, we now have a new region that has been created in our clip bin. But now if I take this file and let's say I duplicate it like this, and you'll see why I'm doing it this way in a second. Let's say I want to do an effect where this, you know, this thing echoes into space. We're going to go for it. We're going to go for it. We're going to go for it. Okay. Now I'm going to take these. I'm going to add some little fades to them at the front end. We'll make it 10 milliseconds so that there's no little at the beginning. Now, what I'm going to use is Audio Suite plugins. These are not real time. These are actual effects and processors that will be applied and create a new audio file. And this is, sometimes it's very easy to see these things, especially like an EQ, and go, well, just do that with a plugin in the mix window. And there's a lot of validity to that. And definitely the majority of your experience with plugins is going to go that way. But there is also a lot of places where this type of manipulation is better and allows you to create something new and different, which you couldn't do with a plugin. And I'm just going to demonstrate that here a little bit with pitch shift. An example of this, well, now these are more real time, but South Park, for example, used pitch shift to create different characters' voices. If we go to the legacy one, it's the easiest to sort of understand what's going on, even if you're not a musician. You can choose a clip, let's say this one right here. We're going to go for it. So we have that, and we can preview it. We're going to go for it. We're going to go for it. We're going to go for it. Here on course, we can adjust the pitch. We're going to go for it. 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 We're going to go. We're going to go for it. We're going to go for it. We're going to go for it. We're going to go. I have used this many times in productions to make my voice sound a little bit bigger and richer. So I'll actually sing something a key or two up and then pitch shift it down. We're going to go for it. So if I go up, we're going to go for it. Once we have it up like this, I'm going to go ahead and hit render. This will write a new file. And we will see that reflected by a bold file here called PISH pitch shift. That is a new file written for our in our audio files folder. Next up, we will pitch shift down, and I'm just going to do this quickly. Pitch shift the next one down, a little bit more. Pitch shift the next one down, and pitch shift the next one down. So now our files sound like this.
We're going to go for it.
We're going to go for it. We're going to go for it. We're going to go for it. We're going to go for it.
Okay, those are all new pitch shifted files. And if you wanted, from there, you could go and do something else fun or cool, like a time shift, right? And actually start to expand. Oops, no audio is selected there, my fault. Expand that. And there's ways you could have done this together. Well, yeah, there are ways you could have done this with one thing, but I'm just showing the subsequent steps here. So if we expand our time,
we're going to go for it. 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 We're going to go for it.
Like that. Now that clip just got a little longer. And that has created yet another clip. So each time I do this, I'm creating a new clip based on the previous clip, which means that the number of actual audio files has just increased substantially. Originally, I only had 2 primary files and a couple edits. Now I have 10 primary files and some edits.
We're going to go for it.
We're going to go for it. We're going to go for it. We're going to go for it. We're going to go for it.
Right? And the last thing we could do is something cool like verify, which I find to be overused about 10 years ago in pop music, but it was so cool. And this one, I'll show you yet another technique. We'll select a part of a file. So,
for it.
And then
for
it's a tape stop sound. So if we take something like this and go over it and we render, it's going to render this tape stop over the course of the selected area. Boop. So now this one goes.
We're going to go for.
We do it like this, and this one will slowly slow down. Bring up the gain. And this is very common in a bunch of pop music, which was pretty cool. I'll do another example so you can hear it a little more clearly.
Sounds good, and see if it plays back into Zoom.
You hear how the pitch kind of slowly goes down there. So that is our, oh, there we go. That is our basic walkthrough of clips in Pro Tools, but most of what I talked about, those references to the files, applies to all DAWs that you will work in. Hopefully, you will test this out, try it, try to figure out how to do your own audio suite type of plugin manipulation, as well as using plugins in a mix window to affect your audio moving forward.